Warriors as well. So that's what I'm going to do. Just a quick, simple guide on painting your Iron Warriors and adding hazard stripes to those models. So without further ado, let's just get straight into the paint guide. So after a silver undercoat, what I'm going to do first is get some strong tone. I'm going to thin this down with some water. Now the reason for this is when I apply it over, it's not going to be super neat. It's also going to dry a little bit more matter as well, but still have a little bit of a shine to it. So I'm just going to coat all over my Iron Warrior, or whatever kind of legion you're picking. Then in some places I'm going to use slightly neater strong tone, because I want it to look a little bit weathered and a little bit oily or rusty. So I'm just going to drop it in places here and there. Now at this moment, I'm not entirely sure what panels are going to be black, what panels are going to be yellow, so I'm just picking areas and then just dropping the shade in, and then I can change my mind later on in the process. But this is a messy job, so I'm doing it now. Then I'm going to pick out any straps. So I'm wanting to use brown here, so I'm just going to get some brown and start picking out like pouches, belts, straps on the gun, anything you think basically is some form of leather gear. You could do it black, you could do it dark grey. It's entirely up to you, but I'm using brown because it's cool. Then any panels I want black, I'm going to pick them out now with some matte black. I mean, I've thinned it down a little bit just so it flows a little bit around those studs, but actually you can be quite messy like I'm doing here, and then you can just literally wipe with your finger after, and then that's the studs kind of done. Any other panels, also cables as well, you can pick those out. You can thin it down a little bit more for like the ribbly bits at the back of the joins and the cables, so some of that metallic shown through. Again, entirely up to you. Now the gun, I'm just going to pick areas black and then correct later on with some silver, because they're a weird shaped bolt gun. I'm used to painting more 40k versions of bolt guns, so it's a little bit different. And of course, any other pauldrons and stuff, pick those out black. Then any tidying up with silver, that's what I'm going to do here on the bolt gun, just some of those working parts, etc. Then yellow. So what I'm going to do now is pick out some areas I want yellow. Now, in theory, I could base coat everything before I do the shade, but sometimes I like to do a second shade after for a little bit more definition. So that's why I'm picking out all these base coats now, but you could do it before you wash everything. And again, I might change my mind if I don't like where some of the yellow areas are. Now I'm going to start taping off some areas. So this tape I've got here is quite thin, but it's not really super ideal, but I just want to put it on so you can see that it does do the job. So if you've got like some sellotape or like some kind of like whiteboard tape or anything like that, you can use it, but it's not perfect. You want artist tape or masking tape. But I'm just going to sponge over that panel. Again, I'm using a sponge here, not like by brush, and the reason for that is it's a little bit softer. What I find when I sponge is it's not going to bleed underneath that masking tape or the tape, whichever tape you're using. It's just a little bit of pressure here and there, and also looks a little bit chipped as well. So I'm just going to do that now. There'll be some areas that I might miss, and that's kind of normal. So I'll always use a brush after just to tidy up the odd area. It's just a little stabbing motion here and there. And if you find some of the panels are a little bit wishy-washy or a little bit speckly, you can just use a brush on that as well. And it's just a matter of peeling that tape off. Again, it does the job, but it's not ideal. It's not the perfect tape I'd want to use. The tape I prefer to use is this stuff. So this is masking tape or artist tape. Again, you can get different thicknesses and sizes. You can always like cut it down to the size you want. What I'm going to do here is now just do some angles. Now, I'm doing this by eye here. That's one way of doing it. Alternatively, you could always align the tape next to each other. So you've got like 3 little strands next to each other, and then just pull the middle one out. So you kind of have a nice consistent thickness, but sometimes that doesn't always work out quite well, especially on bends and curves. So I often just do it by eye. It's the easiest way, and it just, most of the time, when you start chipping it, it's not going to be that noticeable anyway. So what I'm doing here is just going around, taping up my areas, and then getting ready for the next stage. And the next step is to do some sponging. So what I'm doing here is getting a little bit of sponge, and I'm putting in one of those brush sleeves. This just gives me a little bit more control. You can just use a chunk and do it with your hands. It's entirely up to you. Just going to dab off some black off my palette. I know it's a bit of a messy palette, don't judge me. And then all I'm going to do is just gently stab that over those yellow areas. Very much like I did with the yellow panel earlier. So just working my way around, gently stabbing. Now, in some places I might get a little bit on my guns or the silver. I can always tidy those bits up after. It's entirely up to you. You can always do this early on in the base coat stage. Again, up to you. But yeah, once you start peeling off all the tape, didn't really like that back bit very well, so I decided I'm going to paint that black because I wasn't a fan of the yellow there, so it's just going to be a black panel. Sometimes that's part of the process. Now, a little trick I do like to do is to add a little bit of chipping to my hazard stripes or chevrons. This camouflages any mistakes. It also looks pretty cool and a little bit more weathered. So any stripes that might be a little bit thicker or wibbly wobbly, you can hide that with some chipping. You can do it with a sponge like I'm doing here, or you can do it by brush as well. And the whole concept really is some of those bands might be a little bit thicker, or there might be a little bit of bleed. And the whole process of doing this is it kind of hides it a little bit, so there's less tidying up required. and it just looks cool. It looks like an old, ancient piece of armour that's been battered up over, well, many years of war. It's pretty cool, really. And to continue with that weathering feel, you can do this on the black panels with some silver as well. You can also probably do that on the hazard stripe sections if you like. But yeah, it just adds to that weathered, battered feel. And, you know, these guys have been at war for a long, long time, so they're going to be battered. And if you find some of the chips are a bit too much, just get some black, tidy up. It's entirely up to you. And then I purposely left this guy with a sort of a helmet and a bit of head showing just to do some skin. So all I'm going to do here is just do some paratrooper tan. You might want to do a couple of coats, depending on that silver. And then just do an all-over wash again. So this is going to wash over all the yellow panels and black panels, also the skin, also the brown areas, and also add a little bit more depth to some of that silver as well. Again, you don't have to go over the silver areas. You could also forego that first wash and do it now at this point. It's entirely up to you how you want to do it. I like to do two because it adds a bit more depth. That's just personal choice. That's not right or wrong. That is just something I like to do. Now for the base, I'm just going to keep this really simple. This is going to tie my Necromunda stuff as well, because I quite like spacing scheme. Just going to get some strap grey or dark grey, whichever, Corvus black, entirely up to you what you want to use. Just base coat over that, pick out the rim as well. Just work my way around. Then I'm going to get some dark rust, just put some patches here and there, straight from the pot. And then just add some water to those patches. So I'm just dipping my brush into the water and then just slap it onto the base, and that's just going to thin all those bits of dark rust down, and it just gives it a bit more weathered effect. I also find when I water the rust colours down, it's a little bit more of an ad hoc effect, and whilst it's also wet, you can also add more nita bits onto the base. I'm also going to add some onto the actual armour as well, because I've got it out. I don't want this guy to look too clean, so on some of those panels, just going to add a little bit of rust in there as well. I like to think he keeps his gun in good order though, so that's not going to get any rust on it. And again, around the toes, any areas that you feel you want to do. Again, you don't even have to do this on the model. I just wanted to do it because I thought it looked cool. It's an Iron Warrior. It's gonna, you know, he's gonna be out in the field for a while, besieging stuff. And then I'm gonna get some fresh rust and then just apply that in patches. This is all whilst the base is still quite wet from the previous stage, so it helps blend it in a little bit. And again, you can just stab with your brush, and it helps mix it up. And again, you can have some patches that are a little bit more neater than others. And then the last thing to do is just pick out that rim. Again, a couple of coats, and that's, I mean, you can use grey, brown, tell up to you, I'm going grey here. But there we go. There is a smart looking Iron Warrior. Well, less smart, more weathered, I guess. And there we are, our Iron Warrior is done. And I do like me some silver armour with black and yellow hazard stripes. I just think it looks really nice together. Now, I am an Imperial Fist fan at heart, but you know what? There's nothing wrong with painting a little Iron Warrior here and there. And if you did like the format of this video, why not do more Horus Heresy related legions in this style? Quick, simple, no nonsense, straight to it. And you might find some helpful hack for your own particular legions and chapters, I guess, if you want to use that for like your 40k stuff as well. But thank you for watching. Really simple, really straightforward. I've got a lot of filming on this week, so that's why I wanted to get at least something out to you guys. Thank you as always for your huge support and watching the channel. And if you, like I say, if you did like this format and you think, yeah, you know what, Peachy, when it comes to paint guides, do more of these, then let me know in the comments, because that'll be quite handy to know. If it gets no views, then I won't do it again, because it's clearly no one wants just paint guides. They want me to waffle about nonsense. I don't know. That's what I'm doing now, isn't it? Waffling about nonsense. Love you all. See you soon. Take care. Peachy out. I didn't even do a proper intro. I'm Peachy. This is Peachy Tips.